Okay, so this is another demonstration of my theory on left hand, right hand movements in, I would say, kind of a creative, spontaneous, imaginative manner, but coordinated with left hand, right hand accentuation with the left and right hands and fingers. And using music and mathematics, we can kind of assume that there's a lot more neurostimulation going on in both the left and right hemispheres of the brain, but also the communication speed between the two. Now, in the last couple of years, I embarked on kind of um an exercise curriculum where I wanted to increase my left hand dexterity. So I literally did exercises to increase my left hand dexterity, but to be able to also play in a manner where I didn't really have to think about it. Now, I'm a right-handed person, and so controlling my left hand and being able to improvise and create with it was pretty strenuous. But once I developed all these techniques and started really playing with not just strict musical methodologies and strict rules, but kind of exploring my imagination with the left hand right hand coordination opened my I would say perception on a lot of different realities, or being able to look at the world in many different perspectives and not just stick with one linear perspective, whether it be from, okay, let's go political here, whether it be from a democratic perspective or conservative perspective, but it allowed you to kind of look at things multidimensionally and see that there's different views that affect different perceptions. And I really didn't have this reality until I increased my left hand dexterity, which increased my right hemispheric part of the brain. Now, enough of that. I'm just going to kind of ease into this, and this is more of practice on getting in front of the camera, but also I'll be sending this out to a couple of people that I'm hoping to inspire about the importance of music and the importance of left hand, right hand autonomous creation on the piano. And let me give you an example, and hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate neurologically what might be happening in my brain. So this is my left hand. I'm just gonna play. So I've played these patterns before, or it's just or chord structures. It's just the A minor chord, E major, and it's literally the chord progression from Beethoven's Furlies. Kind of going off there, but Now you'll notice that this, my improvisation, even though I've played a lot of these chords or a lot of these finger patterns, may not make academic musical sense. But what I'm hoping that you'll see is that my left hand kind of does its own thing in a relatively synchronized and patterned fashion. So my theory is not necessarily learning music and memorizing music and learning where the fingers are supposed to be, but more so kind of the intricate and complex emotional patterns where, you know, it's not just but more so kind of expression of, I don't know, thoughts and ideas that may, oops. So what I'm hoping to demonstrate is my left hand control and the finger movements, but not just in relative rote memorization, but just being able to kind of do its own thing. In kind of a relative synchronization with my right hand. And also, ever since I started increasing my left hand dexterity and autonomy, I've noticed my conversational skills and my writing skills, even though I don't have the right, the perfect grammatical semantics, but my concepts and ideas flowing within kind of the structure is more complex than it was before 5 years ago. So my theory is that there's something that's been stimulated, or new neural areas that's been stimulated, that's allowed me to think a lot more multidimensionally, but also creatively, but also in a cohesive pattern. So my thoughts, even though some people on Facebook might think I'm erratic, but I do spend a lot of time writing and composing and doing a lot of different things, and usually I'm multitasking. So my thoughts are sometimes jumbled in a semantic form on Facebook, especially when it's on materials that are irrelevant to what I'm really excited about. But sometimes I want to jump into these political arguments and social arguments. So I think they're important, but I also think sometimes maybe I think a little bit differently, and so therefore I like to at least offer some new ideas on maybe how to look at different solutions or different problems. But so I don't want to detract from what I'm trying to get at, but what I'm saying is that I can literally sit here and play for hours on different patterns, and even though they may sound the same, they're actually a little bit different from a numerical standpoint or numerical point of view, but also from kind of a emotional point of view, but also the amount of neurons or the part of the brain that's responsible for hitting versus there's a part of the brain that's called the right supramarginal gyrus, and it's responsible for our ability to sit there and understand that where our limbs are, and our left limb are, or limb is, and how they might work together, but also on touch sensitivity. So you get a lot of classical musicians like Mozart, Beethoven, Bach, and all those really profoundly enlightened classical musicians. Their music isn't just, but it's more emotional. It reflects a lot more, I guess, humanistic emotions and artistic expressions, and I think they expressed a lot more, or tapped into more of that part of the brain, the right supramarginal gyrus. And so instead of, maybe they're like, and so if if there are any mothers watching this, I put together a website, also a booklet, but a booklet that should teach you to be able to teach your kid the basics of music. Now, I took 2 months of lessons when I was younger, and I really didn't like the exercises. And being kind of I guess, a creative person, I didn't like the routine lessons, and so ended up quitting. But I also kept playing the songs that interested me. And so, but those 2 months, I got the basics of what a half note, a quarter note, a whole note, a C, D, G, and all that correlated to the piano. And so I was able to take that and then look at, I think the first piece that I ever learned was Journey. And I learned that, but as you continue to play, and here's what I'm trying to, or what I'm hoping for, is that with this booklet, kind of like what I did, is that if your kids learn the basics of music and understand how it correlates to the piano, maybe, especially if you don't have time or the money to take traditional lessons on a weekly basis, that you'll go down, or they'll go down and pick up a book, like Frozen or anything from Disney that allows them to play and express their creative side. And that was kind of my whole intent with my booklet. But all the videos that I put up are free for anyone to use. And so if you go to my website, PianoWithMichael.com, and you look at lessons and Miko, I've got, I think, 15 videos that are basically the structure from my booklet. And here it is. You can buy it online. It's a little expensive, but the cost per booklet is expensive for me. But I'm hoping to partner up with a couple of businesses to make it available for a lot cheaper or for free, depending on how I'm able to inspire some of those businesses. But any mother, and I say mothers because they tend to be a little bit more compassionate about the artistic endeavors of the nucleus of the family. But I'm hoping that they'll be able to take my booklet, look at it, and be able to provide instructions for their kids at home on how to look at the piano and how to look at music, and be able to start off with some basic tunes like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and all the videos that I have online. And I'll be adding to those daily, including exercises, including I've got, in fact, I loaded up today a couple of videos on scales, and then also flashcards. And the flashcards are a great way for people to, especially kids that are just getting into music, to be able to look at something on the staff and see where it correlates and see how quickly they can ascertain it. And through practice, they'll be able to sight read faster. And it's one of the things that I've been struggling with. And so I developed that to kind of increase my ability to learn music a little bit faster, learn the music that I want to play a little bit faster. But it should, the videos and the booklet should provide parents the ability to at least instruct their kids on the music and how it correlates to the piano. And then hopefully, like I said, maybe they'll be able to go to my Amazon affiliate channel or any channel, and at least buy something that provides them with inspiration to continue on. And I know kids are really into like Frozen or a lot of the Disney stuff. So anyway, and for the message, or this message, is for people that may be looking at this from a more of a cerebral, but also a cognitive process. Again, I used to have a certain mindset, but because of my left-hand dexterity and creativity, I've gone through what some would consider a very profound change in perception. And I can only correlate that to people that either augment their brains through psychoactive drugs or have gone through near-death experiences. But this is all controlled, and this is all just kind of increasing the left and right neural areas, but also increasing the corpus callosum, which is the band that connects both the left and right brain, which facilitates a lot more communication, but I think allows people to look at the world a lot differently, especially in today's society. And I got rebuked for saying something like this, but I'm going to say it, is that we've become somewhat complacent and passive in our stimulation of thought processes. And music is and playing the piano has really transformed my way of thinking. And I don't mean to denigrate or berate those that don't play, but for those that have seen me go through this, perceptual change, it is because of the music. It is because of the left hand and being able to sit there. There's something that happens, and a lot of the classical musicians that I know that play, they have a very different mindset. And there's so much studies that prove that, number one, music stimulates more areas of the brain than I think any other activity, and this is something that I've read online from Stanford. But the piano also allows for the use of the left and right hand, but also multiple fingers and multiple notes, multiple sustaining notes. And then if you can coordinate that with your right hand, in a spontaneous manner and not sticking within the lines, but just kind of using your imagination, now most of my improvisation has been playing off the A minor chord, E major chord, which is, like I said, the Beethoven's Für Elise, but I can also go off the C major scale. And again, and I kind of promote this on in my booklet, but also on my website. That is, parents, if you do have the time and you do have the money, I would highly encourage that you find a teacher that works well with your child to get them interested in music. And it really is about making sure that they're interested in it, because it can be arduous and it can be a tedious manner where you have to do exercises, and it turns a lot of people off. And it's also never too late to get into it. But most importantly, if we can get our kids and our younger generation involved in music and the arts, number one, but also left hand right hand coordination, and stimulate more of the left and right hemisphere of the brain through what I would say is the fun of music and the power of the piano. And again, this is kind of a rough draft. I'm slowly progressing into a finalized version of a pitch that I'll be making to a couple people that would be way off base for me about 3 or 4 years ago. But because I have at least a belief in a perceptual change of my cognitive abilities to look at things a little bit more rationally, a little more mathematically, a little more substantively, but also being able to assimilate so much more information and kind of like look at it and be able to portray it in a way. And even if you look at all the stuff that I'm working on, I think right now I've got like 5 different programs going on. A lot of them weren't built to be used the way that I'm using them, but I also had a vision of what I wanted to do, and I was able to look at that program saying I could do that with it and manipulate it in a way that provided a message. And I think that's the future of our society, especially for our kids, where we have so much automation, robotics, and all that stuff, is that if you can look at a program and see how it's utilized and be able to manipulate it and kind of like tell a story or convey a message of what you want to do with it. And for me, obviously, it's music and portraying and teaching music, but it's the manipulation of software and all the stuff that's out there. For example, like WordPress. I used to be a programmer, a very simplistic programmer, but there's so much collective knowledge of people designing these widgets and all this other expertise, and they build it into this infrastructure, and you can combine it. And so I have digressed in my abilities in web design, because you don't really need it anymore. You just have these widgets and all these other facilities within WordPress, and you can design your own website. And I think that's definitely going to be the future, where automation and software automation and artificial intelligence are able to collect collect all the experiences or all the contributions of professional designers, professional architects, professional um, accounting. I mean, I literally just got done with my taxes, which were a little bit more complex last year, and it took me, I think, 35 minutes to do it, and it cost me $70. And I'm confident. I've been confident in the last 5 years I've used it. Uh, I'm not a tax expert, but I know how to use the system to reach the end goal, which was to get my taxes done in a way that the government is not going to audit me, and it's a confidence that I've done it well. But anyway, my point is this: is that with the augmentation and using the left and right hemispherics of the brain and increasing that corpus callosum through the music and piano, experientially has provided me with kind of a dramatic change on who I was and who I am. And I'm hoping this will reach, at least several parents that will say, well, man, maybe I should get my kids into music. I see the importance of it. Maybe this will spur you to make that final point to go get a keyboard, get a digital piano that's weighted. Get your kids involved in I point that out, a fun music teacher. Or if you don't have the time or money, I've created a website that is free. You can learn the basics of music and like me, maybe continue on. But there's so much research out there that has proven what music has done and can do to the brain, and it's dumbfounding to me now. Not before, but dumbfounding now. Why, as a society and as a culture, where we eliminate it from some of our most important educational aspects for our kids, which is school. But and also understanding, or at least theorizing on the social paradigms and the social progression of constructs. You understand that sports is a big business, and parents love sports, and therefore they like to associate their kids and get them involved in sports, and it's a great communal activity. And so I understand that sports is an important part of our culture, but I also think if somehow some of us, including myself, can inspire other people to inspire others to at least spend a couple hours, maybe an hour a day, maybe a couple hours a week, diving into music, diving into the piano, you'll have that sports activity and the physical growth of all this. But with music and piano, hopefully you'll also develop a different part of the brain that's responsible for artistic expression, artistic appreciation. Empathy is another one, but a whole host of social attributes, I think, are being diminished in our society. And again, I don't mind it. I don't mean to knock sports, because I love sports and I played sports, but music is unfortunately the bastard child of our society now. And I'm just hoping to inspire one, two, three, or whoever to get their kids involved in music. And again, it's never too late to play and never too late to start. And I think I've created something for anyone to excuse me, start, use it for free. But I also have ways, if you really want to contribute to what I'm doing, you can buy some of my stuff, you can buy my booklet, you can support my videos, you can like it and all that stuff. But anyway, this is probably the last, or close to the last video that I'll do to kind of fine tune my message to some VCs and some other people that I'm trying to reach. And I put a post out there that I'm not the best person to be the front of this, and I don't want to be the front, actually, but I know so many people that play well, and I'm just hoping that I'll excite or inspire some people to kind of look at this and see if there's a way that either you can support me, or we can create a coalition or team up and inspire others to really look at the piano and music and Bach and Beethoven Anyway, have a good day. Bye.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it helpful. Visit our website for content, tips, and products. And as always, practice, but make sure it's fun.